Hey everybody, it's Dave. Today we're going to talk about Pure Crop 1, of course. That's why you're here. I accidentally bought some root mealies this spring and didn't know it for a while. I had some Hoya just not doing anything at all. And you may have heard me say, if your plant's not growing, if it's not doing something, you need to do something. I took my own advice. I pulled one out of its little plastic pot. It wasn't see-through. And there they were, root mealies, first time in my life. And it was absolutely infested. And it was in a small version of this cake pan I'm going to use today that I use just for plant care. And I threw all of those away. Within 2 or 3 days, I heard the podcast Let's Talk Hoya. Doug Chamberlain, Vermont Hoyas, was on there talking about his entire collection being infested with root mealies. Adam and the crew recommended Pure Crop 1, and then he made a little video on his success with it. So of course I ordered it immediately. I started with 16 ounces, which is $44, I think. Then a half a gallon, which is $75. And then a gallon, if you go that route off Amazon, is $140. Pure Crop 1 is corn oil and soybean oil that they do some sort of fancy processing, change the molecular, I don't know. But on their website, they have some detailed information. If you are scientifically minded and perhaps just want to know why soybean and corn oil is so freaking expensive, they can explain it. So it's to treat mites, thrips, pests on our plants. It does not affect beneficials, so it only affects sap-sucking bugs. And it's apparently a good fungicide, controls mold. I don't have those problems, so I can't speak to that. But with root mealies, I only had a few plants with them that I threw away, as I already talked about. And then I did find a couple more. Now these things can really, really travel, and I feel fortunate that that's where it ended. So when I got this in, I mixed it up as directed, which is 2 ounces per gallon when you're treating that active level of root mealie, for instance, and then 1 ounce per gallon as a maintenance, I guess. So I used it consistently, religiously, and it looked like I had the root mealie bug problem solved. I continued to use it though because I had that half a gallon, and as I said, it goes quite a ways. I found another plant with active root mealies in it, and then I found another one. And they weren't exactly next to each other either, so I was sort of panicked. I went to 24 milliliters per gallon to treat all the plants in there. I did that for several more weeks. Again, everything seemed to be completely under control. And then I found 2 more plants with active mealies while I was using this product. That was disappointing, to say the least. And I think those of you who've been around, I think will take my word for it, that when I say I'm absolutely religious on pest prevention, you'll believe me. I'd been using it, testing it as a foliar spray too. I also imported some mites, some flat mites. So I had an opportunity to find out how this worked as a drench and as a foliar spray. The foliar spray was 100% effective, no question about that. This product works fantastically. For the root mealies, which is why I bought it and what I was much more concerned with, I think we've blown flat mites into this mythic creature, but that's not for today. I did a little test. So that's what we're going to look at today. Having spent what I consider to be so much money on a product, I guess I was not hoping that it would work 100%. I was expecting it to. So to have found a month ago this is just a propagation of a Morellii. So, not a plant that would be a great loss to lose, but it's one that I wanted to experiment on. And if I did lose it, then, let me try to show you a close-up of this. Do you see those white kind of fat dots on there? Those are exploded mealybugs. And let me see if we can find there too. Those are once living, now dead mealybugs. What I decided to do, since they had lived through Pure Crop 1, I'm sorry to say, is this. For $1.25, you can get 32 ounces of hydrogen peroxide from the dollar store, or now the $1.25 store. I drenched it. I put this in another little cup without drainage holes on it, just for just a few seconds, just to let that kick in. Hydrogen peroxide, nothing's going to live through that, I don't think. The question for me was, will it kill the eggs that were potentially in this? And that's what we're going to look at today. I have seen no signs of life in about a month now. I mentioned to someone in the comments that it had been at least 3 weeks or longer. It's been just under a month. The plant looks healthy. It looks good. A lot of people do hydrogen peroxide drenches regularly. Let me back up for 1 second. I did try a diluted hydrogen peroxide drench. Didn't work. So that's why I went with 100% hydrogen, or well, 3% hydrogen peroxide. I don't even know what 100% would be, but pure hydrogen peroxide. Let's take a look at it. It looks like there are no mealybugs, but I'm going to put it in this glass pan. I'm not using my potting mat for obvious reasons, just in case. And then I'm gonna give you some visuals here. I know you won't be able to see this, but let me take a look here first. Now this will look, if you're familiar with root mealies, they're active. The young ones are active. They'd be crawling all over the place. And what looks a little bit like mold there, that's where you would be seeing a lot of mealybug activity. So I did see on Facebook the other day, someone posted a picture so clearly, a massive root mealybug infestation, and quite a few people were trying to tell them that it was just mold. You know, you can't get involved in everything, right? It was so clearly root mealies, but I don't know. So I'm going to get hands-on in here a little bit. With this, I'm just going to see what this looks like. See if there's anything at all living in here. Goes without saying, I will drench this again. I'll get everything off I can. Well, this I might not even try to save. Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing alive in here at all. So I wouldn't say that looks fantastic, but the hydrogen peroxide worked. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, I'm going to throw this all away, I'm going to sanitize the dish, and then I'm going to show you a plant that I actually do care about. And let's see how that one looks. I should probably note briefly that if you haven't had them, root mealies do not stay below the soil line entirely. They can come up the stem. They won't come up very far. I mean, it might be just a little bit like that. So the way that you often see calcium buildup at the base of a stem, you could see some mealies there. It will look fuzzier though, if you see that nesting or a little spreading. Take it seriously, as I said, they can spread just like crazy. I feel very fortunate that it didn't for me. Did the Pure Crop one help prevent an outbreak? I don't know. That at least 2 plants lived through treatments, I don't know. Now, I appear to be past it. I have sanitized everything. I've inspected every plant very carefully. And again, I only had a few plants with root mealy, so I feel very lucky in that regard. But one of them that I was not happy to find it on was this beautiful plant, gift from a friend that I featured in a swap to end swap videos. This one didn't show any signs of illness at all, and it may just be I caught it, very, very quickly. This plant looks absolutely fantastic. You might find if you have root mealies and have had them, that the plant just generally does not look well. You might be seeing some yellowing leaves. Expect the lower leaves to look worse first, but it can travel all the way up the stem. It can affect the whole plant. It can wipe the plant out pretty quickly. And in Doug Chamberlain's case, and he may have had mostly mature plants, he said his plants looked fine. He just couldn't get rid of the mealy bugs. But they're mobile. Adam, Not Dude, was saying he could see them running around on his shelf, the little nascent life forms. Just, well. But anyway, this one I just happened to see through the plastic cup. And so this one also got a hydrogen peroxide dunk. I hope it goes without saying that these plants have been isolated from the rest of the collection. I want to dump this one out too and see what we're looking at. I would expect it to look exactly the same, but we're gonna find out here. This actually had quite a lot of infestation, and I'm seeing nothing at all alive, but just so you can see what that looks like. There would be quite a lot of activity if there were any living bugs in here. It's not like the normal mealies you would see that are just kind of hanging there. It's more like the mealies that are mobile that you almost can't see unless you're really inspecting. So, that's, while I've got you and we're talking mealies, if you're picking mealies off one by one off a plant and you're not treating the entire plant with whatever product you're using it with, you're playing a fool's game. You will never, ever, ever get them by taking a paintbrush and just getting them one by one because you're missing all the crawlers. And so I think that's a big mistake I see people talk about all the time is, just getting those visible mealies is not gonna do it. I'm gonna very quickly just get all of the substrate off here, see what I'm looking at, see how the roots look. Roots look good. Roots look really good. All right. I'm gonna pour a cuppa here, and I am going to drench these again, even though there are no signs of life. I do not mind that hydrogen peroxide would kill anything beneficial in my substrate. Doesn't worry me at all. This is just cocoa chip, perlite, and cocoa coir. I feed it with either GT Foliage Focus or more likely on the Hoya's MSU formula. I've got those linked in the description if you want to see the foods I use. So I treat this substrate just like if it were pond, that it needs to be fed, and I do not worry about beneficial anything. I used to worry a lot about that stuff. The less I've worried about how many components are in my substrate, now it's 3, and taking out all the myco, and it's got to have this, it's got to have that. My plants have never looked better, truly. So, I mean, this is way longer than, hydrogen peroxide needs to kill anything. I mean, they use they use this product in hospitals for good reason. So, there we go. I'm obviously not going to use the old substrate at all. I think I was on Hoya Obsession just quite a long time ago, and Carol Noel, who's a pretty famous grower, explorer, etc., and so forth, been around a long time, said root mealies are easy to deal with. I just pour pure hydrogen peroxide through. And so when Doug was really despondent about his collection, I thought, well, he must have tried this. Maybe he did. I have no idea. Maybe he did, and they were coming from, I have no idea. I just don't know the story. But given that one soak of hydrogen peroxide and a month later there are absolutely no signs of life of root mealies at all, makes me think that Carol Noel is correct. That it probably should have just been hydrogen peroxide for $1.25 a bottle right from the beginning. Something that a lot of people do, like as I mentioned, just as a course, just routine. I'm just going to pour some hydrogen peroxide up at the top of this. I'll spray the plant down, but I'm very confident that the root mealy bug situation is completely under control now. As a foliar spray, as a very expensive foliar spray, Pure Crop 1 appears to be very effective. I don't have enough pests to really give it a ringing endorsement for that. Like I didn't have a big flat mite outbreak or spider mite outbreak, this or that. But I hope I don't ruffle anybody's feather, because I know that we all want a miracle cure for whatever. This is only one person's experiment over the course of 4 months. You would not believe how good this plant smells. The foliage is just, well, it's just delightful. Conclusions on this. I use a do-it-yourself spray that Liquid Dirt had a video on. I made a video on it. It's 100% effective as a foliar. And I spray the top of the substrate. If it's a watering day, I water it straight through. I would not want to get alcohol, which is in that do-it-yourself recipe, into the roots and just let it sit there. But I don't mind having it drip down into the plant and then just watering it through. I've never had any negative effects from doing that. So 100% effective. Why would I spend all this money on Pure Crop 1 as a foliar spray? I would not. I'm very happy and have been for a long time with that do-it-yourself spray. For root mealies, it may be trickier. Did I prevent a bigger outbreak by using this right away? And maybe there were some very early life forms that it took care of, or maybe it just hadn't spread to an awful lot of plants, because most of my plants were absolutely fine. It was a very small selection that weren't. I don't think it'll surprise you that if I came across root mealies again, I would go straight to hydrogen peroxide. It's $1.25 a bottle, and it is effective immediately. There is no wait time. They explode. I mean, they quite literally go from being these little tiny grains of rice to against the plastic. It was quite remarkable. So I guess I'm gonna go against the grain. I don't mean to, I don't want to. We all want the miracle product. I know that so many of us can't afford to buy this and can't get it if you're not in the United States. So is it worth the money? That's for you to decide. That's just like it would be for me. Like that's like saying, is this plant worth $100? Well, no one can say but the person that's willing to spend $100 on a plant, right? Same with this product. To have a product that you can spray the leaves down and drench the soil with at the same time, just in your fertilizer water, it may be worth that money. I do not know. For me, no. I am not going to be repurchasing this again based on my experience. To have used it for so long, so consistently, every single watering, and still finding live root mealies, that's a deal breaker. It's the only reason I spent that kind of money. I spent, $75 plus the $44, and I still ended up with root mealies, which could then have just as easily spread to other plants had they not been isolated in such a way that they were. So the thing that I did find Pure Crop 1 to be very surprisingly successful with was armored scale. I have that on my staghorn fern. They're very prone to that, very difficult to deal with. Don't do a lot of damage because I stay on top of it. I use the do-it-yourself spray. Doesn't seem to affect them very much. The Pure Crop 1 I've been using as that foliar spray and as a drench as I water it. And there was I don't know, 4, 5, 6 I found on one of those large fronds. And I was like, man, you know, I thought I would have done more. They were just dried up shells. There was nothing. I kind of gathered them and they just turned to dust. So if you're dealing with a scale problem and you can swallow the price of this product, it may be worth it to you. So that's where I come down. You decide if it's worth the money. I've decided it's not, because it's just not effective enough. See you in the next one real soon, okay? Bye-bye.